We've all known for a while that London has been lost to the globalist agenda. Zone 1, while still having many of the beautiful buildings which symbolise our history, have been taken over by an elitist international clique which pop pride flags on the top and only visit the city to make money. These people have no affinity with London other than the quote-unquote buzz they get when they come in and out. However, their policies and their ideology has meant that every other zone in London is now increasingly staffed with third worlders who are getting increasingly violent. Of course, you'll be called an evil racist simply for noticing this, and if you do have a discussion about it in the mainstream, it will be all our fault for not being tolerant enough. However, just yesterday I googled London, and these are just some stories that came up of what's happened just over the past couple of days. Firstly, this fella, an Ahmed Shakil Gonladu, labelled as short-tempered by the BBC, stabbed a driver to death with a machete because he ran over his bike. By the way, that same guy was arrested only a few years ago with a 10-inch knife after being caught dealing drugs. Good to see our justice system is working well then, eh? Also, a couple of days ago, this 15-year-old called Renee Graham was shot dead at a supposed family fun day for the Caribbean community. Next up, this fella Shane March stabbed to death his ex-partner Alana Adesios at a London flat. She's a mother of two who was pregnant at the time of being stabbed. Just to emphasise how much progressive media devalues human life, The Guardian doesn't even report that the woman was pregnant. This man should be being tried for double murder, not just one. Then under 24 hours ago, a man was left fighting for his life after being stabbed by a girl, 15 years old, and an 18-year-old woman. That stabbing was outside Seven Sisters tube station, by the way, and for those of you that don't know London too well, Seven Sisters is in Tottenham, which is a particularly enriched area, specifically by the Afro-Caribbean community. Now, you may have noticed a common denominator with each of these assailants. One, they don't seem to be from British origin originally, but secondly, they all seem to go back to one certain demographic. Yet for years now, if not decades, if you notice any of this or mention any of this, you're an evil, toxic bigot who doesn't understand the modern world. You're supposed to instead acknowledge your inherent white supremacy and guilt and your white fragility about how you don't like to be blamed for these things. But this to me doesn't seem a good way to deal with this in the short or the long term. It's just going to get worse over time. What you need is strong policing, a heavy hand to deal with this sort of thing. Incidentally, that's exactly what TikTok star Mizzy said when he was breaking into people's houses for views on social media. He said, there's nobody there that's going to punish me. It's also why fellas like this on your screen just go into shops and eat the food on display. They don't really fear any consequences at all because they know there aren't any. But on the upside, it turns out that Owen Jones is getting married and having his gay wedding party in London soon. So every cloud, eh? But it seems to me that London is pretty much beyond saving now, as so many cities are up and down the UK, so it's worth just trying to stay away from them as much as you possibly can. It seems to me the best approach from here is to try and maintain the integrity of certain parts of the countryside and say we don't want infinity migrants from the third world here. You've already got all the cities, you can't have the whole country. These are just some of my views, however. Do let me know what you think down below and do consider subscribing to the channel.